Presumably, this is a tougher, maybe silverbacky sort of version of Kong's species. And if there is a empire, so to speak, it would be rather interesting because what we did notice between the novelization of Godzilla versus Kong and in the film itself, the temple or the throne room that Kong goes into and gets his nifty axe, that wasn't made by humans. That was made by Kong's species, of which he is a very young member thereof. So this creature, this apparition that's in the trailer, presumably it is quite intelligent, and it may very well have its own civilization. It could be the last, it could be something new, male or female. It wasn't necessarily hinted at. There were hints and rumors going around the internet previously about a Son of Kong spinoff, so to speak. So this opens that up, I suppose, in theory, because we do have other members of Kong's species. But yeah, I'm really pumped to see where this goes because I'm quite interested in the new concept of a kaiju slash titan civilization or culture, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because we went to Hollow Earth, but we only saw a tiny fraction of it. This could be the other side of Hollow Earth. Could be where this civilization, this empire, exists. And as it's Godzilla X Kong, we're assuming that they're still kind of friends. I think there's a mutual respect, isn't there, that they built up in the previous film that should carry forward. I don't know if Kong's going to come across this guy or come across this villain, this new empire, and go back to Godzilla and ask for help.
So my speculation is here. What I really want to go back to is that original cave and that culture, right? Why did that tribe go extinct? So we didn't encounter any other Godzillas. There were just a variety of threats there which Kong seemed to easily overcome. We didn't see any of the baddies, so to speak, like the big titans that are on Earth's surface. So in Hollow Earth, are we looking at an empire which has been won, and perhaps that outpost, that tribe, cave that Kong went to and got his axe, maybe that isn't where the civilization is anymore, because again, all the threats seemed to be pretty minor. Godzilla doesn't strike me as the type of intelligence that gets led into Hollow Earth. He doesn't necessarily get back, and then getting Godzilla back out of Hollow Earth, I don't think that's necessarily a thing either. I think the new empire is Kong's species, particularly this Kobo-esque character, if we want to go down the Planet of the Apes route,
yes,
coming to the surface. And that's where Kong and Godzilla have to like go against this. Perhaps this is one of those things where Kong has to choose between humans and his actual species, and he has to rise up and defeat this alpha Kong, Kong simian. And in order to do that, he kind of needs a massive honking reptile in order to sort it out, because he does have an affinity for the human beings that have helped like raise him to a degree, that've been there, that he feels protective of. They have followed him to Hollow Earth, so that relationship has continued. He knows their language, albeit sign language. So this new tribe, as it were, this existent tribe, this extant tribe that has been in Hollow Earth, perhaps it is like defeated all the threats, and then it realizes there's a much wider world upstairs that is far easier to live in, but we have to take out a few remaining titans, and then there are humans everywhere, but they are easily quelled because we are like a tribe of Kongs. So I think what is going to happen is Kong is going to face off with this other alpha, lose, all sorts of pandemonium breaks loose on Earth via this tribe of Kongs, which, it will be interesting because the humans will probably have mixed reactions to Kong because he was the one Titan that, listened to them. Things go pear-shaped. Godzilla shows up because he is the natural order and, the scale upon which everything is balanced. And again, he and Kong will have to team up, but Kong will have a philosophical decision to make. That is my prediction with how this goes. And then because Kong will probably end up as the new Alpha Kong, that is where the Son of Kong will then happen, because we will have a mate, presumably, for our favorite simian Titan.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. I mean, the imagery we've got of all the skulls and bones makes me think that, yeah, this is the Alpha, this is the bad guy. I don't know how much of an empire he's got, because I can't see Godzilla fighting off multiple Kongs. And perhaps there was an empire, and he's just like he's almost wiped out the resources, and he wants something new to fight. And so, as you say, when he discovers there's a world upstairs, he's going to go there. He's going to have a bit of a tussle with Kong. Kong's going to limp off, and Kong's either going to be smart enough to lead him to Godzilla for a fight, or Godzilla's going to sense something's up and come and help out for whatever reason.
Is Godzilla a viable threat for one of these Kongs? I mean, like, certainly a whole tribe of Kongs could take Godzilla. One Kong certainly gave him a bit of trouble. Let's be honest here. And if this is indeed a culture, if it was their culture that manufactured those axes out of Godzilla plates, that means that they definitely at one point or another took down at least one Godzilla, butchered it, and then made weapons out of its carcass, presumably, which they used to kill other Godzillas. Whatever tribe Kong species had that made that, a number of them were armed and would go out, presumably on raids, to kill whatever Titans were out there. Because Kong's shown to be a carnivore. So in theory, this could lead into your theory, Paul, that like there aren't enough resources in Hollow Earth to sustain this species of Titan, this economy that their culture has around meat, or like whatever substance they're finding. So perhaps they have taken out all the large viable threats, but that was also what was feeding them. So if they go up, perhaps humans are on the menu, perhaps kaiju are on the menu.
Yeah, I mean, there can't be that many of them going up, because they could easily take on Godzilla. If there's an empire, which is a lot.
So this is the thing too. So if we want to go X factor here, if we really want to rile things up, the war of the Kongs versus the other Titans, that's a potential there. The other thing that we need to consider here as well is that Godzilla may have seen this particular Kong before. If we look at the previous Godzilla comic, which was released by IDW, we know that Godzilla's lair, the one that gets destroyed in Godzilla King of the Monsters, that gets nuked to revive him, was his lair. And then he goes around searching for a new one amidst his other travels. And then he lands upon one lair, which was the lair of a Kong, a respected, rival of his. And that's why he kind of goes there last. So he sets up shop there, but he never defeated that rival. And it isn't Skull Island that he's at. So where did that Kong go? I think that these are the plot elements that Legendary has been setting up and playing with. And I think that these could very well be the threads that they pull on.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of an army of Kongs versus the Titans in an Avengers Assemble moment sounds both ridiculous but awesome at the same time.
But the other thing that I can see here is like Kong in between these two, and then like walking over to like Godzilla's side with his axe is like, I choose them sort of moment.
What do we think about the human element? I mean, are we going to have the same characters from the previous films come back?
I feel like some characters will certainly return. We've definitely had a reoccurring Monarch cast and their children.
I don't want them to come back.
Yeah, I think I have read there's a new cast entirely for this film.
As much as you may or may not want them, I think when they say a whole new cast, perhaps a whole new starring cast, but I do think that we will see some familiar faces in it. I also think that we will potentially see a time jump, like maybe 5 to 10 years after the events of Godzilla versus Kong. How is humanity keeping the Titans, at guard? Is Orca still around? If not, what is the new way? Or have they gone a Pacific Rim route where there are walls? At one point, we made a Mecha Godzilla. It didn't work out. Admittedly, it was a fantastic failure on every level, but we do have that capability. So as corny as it sounds, I feel like I have to mention a mechanical Kong, but at the same time, I'm going to lean in another direction and say, is this a potential Jet Jaguar-esque scenario? A humanoid mech would make sense, and an AI mech would make sense.
A humanoid mech.
Like a humanoid shape. Like that's where I'm thinking of Jet Jaguar. I'm not, but like that kind of sentience. Again, we're going like left field here, what we could throw out as a human response, because they aren't necessarily going to go Mecha Godzilla again, are they?
I don't think.
But at the same time, like something vaguely Jaeger-esque, I can see that as a potential, but there has to be something, some kind of deterrent which humanity has done. And whether or not that's a specific frequency of orca, a type of chemical deterrent like we saw on Monster Island in the original Showa series. I'm just saying that human beings have lived with Titans, and there needs to be a viable defense mechanism at this point. Otherwise, one of the major criticisms of this film will be like, you've known these things are around the whole time now, and they have periodically gone nuts. You're saying you've planned for nothing.
I don't see this Kong being much of a threat, really, if it's going up against Godzilla. But then again, in that trailer, we do see its eyes glowing. Who knows, maybe this is potentially a Kong that has Godzilla powers.
I think we're going to have to wait until, what, March 2024 to find out. Joe, take us away.
Thank you so much for listening, folks. And as always, keep it kaiju.